Can a luxury sedan make you smile every time the road begins to twist? For decades, that question had only one obvious answer. Cars built for presidents, CEOs, and diplomats weren't supposed to be exciting. Their job was simple: isolate passengers from the outside world with silence, comfort, and effortless refinement. The larger and softer they felt, the more successful they were considered. By the early 1990s, Mercedes-Benz had perfected that philosophy with the imposing W140 S-Class, a technological giant that many believed represented the ultimate luxury automobile. Most manufacturers would have accepted defeat and tried to imitate it. BMW chose a completely different path. Instead of asking how to build a better limousine, its engineers asked a far more ambitious question. What if a flagship luxury sedan could deliver the comfort expected from its class while still feeling like a true driver's car? That single idea would lead to one of the most respected executive sedans ever created, the BMW E38 7 Series. Looking back today, it's difficult to imagine how bold that decision really was. During the 1990s, luxury cars were becoming increasingly isolated from the driving experience. Electronic systems multiplied, dimensions grew larger, weight increased, and manufacturers competed to create the quietest cabins possible. Performance existed almost as an afterthought. BMW refused to accept that compromise. Ever since the introduction of the original 7 Series, the company had built its reputation around one simple promise: the ultimate driving machine. If that philosophy meant anything, it had to apply to the flagship as much as it did to the 3 Series or 5 Series. Creating the successor to the successful E32 therefore became far more than a normal model update. Engineers weren't simply replacing an existing sedan. They were redefining what a luxury BMW should be. Development focused on achieving something that sounded almost contradictory. The new car needed to provide limousine-level comfort while remaining remarkably engaging behind the wheel. Every engineering decision reflected that philosophy. Rather than allowing the body to grow excessively large, designers carefully refined the proportions to create a sedan that appeared elegant without feeling intimidating. Long before minimalism became fashionable, the E38 demonstrated the power of restrained design. Clean body lines, balanced overhangs, and subtle details gave the car a timeless appearance that has arguably aged better than many of its competitors. Personally, I think that's one of the reasons enthusiasts continue admiring the E38 today. It never relied on dramatic styling to attract attention. Instead, it achieved something much more difficult. It looked confident without trying too hard. Underneath the elegant exterior, BMW engineers worked obsessively to improve structural rigidity while carefully controlling weight. Suspension geometry received significant refinement, steering response became sharper, and chassis balance remained one of the highest priorities throughout development. Unlike many luxury sedans that encouraged drivers to sit in the back seat, the E38 almost invited its owner to take the wheel personally. Every kilometer reflected BMW's belief that luxury should never eliminate involvement. At the very top of the range stood the magnificent 750iL. Beneath its long hood lived the naturally aspirated M73 V12, a 5.4-liter engine delivering effortless performance with extraordinary smoothness. It wasn't built to produce dramatic acceleration figures or dominate magazine headlines. Instead, its character perfectly matched the car itself. Quiet, refined, immensely powerful, and seemingly incapable of becoming stressed regardless of the situation. Whether gliding through city traffic or cruising across the German Autobahn at high speed, the V12 delivered its power with almost electric smoothness. Combined with outstanding sound insulation and meticulous engineering throughout the drivetrain, the experience felt less like driving a machine and more like commanding something crafted without compromise. Yet despite all this engineering excellence, the E38's greatest achievement had very little to do with horsepower or luxury features. Its true legacy would come from something much harder to measure: the way it made people feel every time they sat behind the wheel. When the E38 finally reached customers in 1994, it became clear that BMW had created something genuinely different from anything else in the luxury segment. While competitors focused primarily on isolating the driver from the road, the E38 encouraged the opposite. It communicated through its steering, responded with remarkable precision, and carried itself with a level of balance that seemed almost impossible for a full-size luxury sedan. Automotive journalists across Europe repeatedly praised its handling, with many describing it as the benchmark driver's car in the executive class. Personally, I think that's where the E38 truly separated itself from the competition. It never tried to be the largest or the most extravagant luxury sedan. Instead, it pursued a more difficult goal: making a large sedan feel smaller than it actually was. BMW engineers achieved this through careful chassis tuning, a near 50/50 weight distribution on many variants, and suspension geometry designed to deliver confidence rather than isolation. The result was a car that remained composed on the Autobahn yet could still be surprisingly enjoyable on a winding mountain road. That philosophy extended to every version in the lineup, but the 750iL represented the flagship expression of everything BMW wanted the E38 to be. Its 5.4-liter naturally aspirated M73 V12 produced 326 horsepower and 490 Nm of torque, delivering effortless acceleration rather than explosive performance. Power was sent to the rear wheels through a 5-speed ZF automatic transmission, chosen not for aggressive shifts but for exceptional smoothness and durability. Even at high speeds, the V12 remained almost silent, with only a faint mechanical hum reminding occupants that 12 cylinders were working beneath the hood. In Germany, where unrestricted sections of the Autobahn allowed owners to explore the car's capabilities, the E38 quickly developed a reputation as one of the finest long-distance cruisers ever built. Hours behind the wheel passed effortlessly thanks to excellent seating comfort, refined aerodynamics, and impressive high-speed stability. Unlike many luxury sedans of the era, the E38 never felt nervous or disconnected as speeds increased. It simply settled into the road, giving drivers the confidence to travel quickly while remaining completely relaxed. Inside the cabin, BMW deliberately avoided unnecessary extravagance. The dashboard remained clean and driver-focused, with physical buttons that could be operated without taking your eyes off the road. High-quality leather, real wood trim, and solid switchgear created an atmosphere of understated luxury rather than excessive decoration. Looking back today, many enthusiasts appreciate this simplicity even more, especially when compared with modern interiors dominated by large touchscreens and deeply layered digital menus. The E38 also introduced advanced technology for its time. Depending on the market and specification, buyers could equip the car with satellite navigation, integrated telephone systems, xenon headlights, rain-sensing windshield wipers, double-glazed side windows for improved cabin insulation, and dynamic stability control, which became increasingly important as engine outputs continued to rise. While these features may seem ordinary today, many represented cutting-edge technology during the mid to late 1990s. Safety remained another major priority. The E38 incorporated a rigid passenger cell, multiple airbags, sophisticated electronic braking systems, and structural improvements designed to exceed contemporary crash standards. BMW understood that a flagship sedan had to inspire confidence not only through performance but also through occupant protection. Beyond engineering, however, the E38 achieved something that cannot be measured on a specification sheet. It became a cultural icon. Its elegant proportions and timeless design made it a favorite among filmmakers, appearing in productions such as Tomorrow Never Dies and The Transporter. In Tomorrow Never Dies, audiences watched James Bond remotely control his BMW 750iL using a mobile phone, an unforgettable scene that showcased both the car's technological image and BMW's growing global presence. Although the remote control sequence was fictional, it reflected how futuristic the E38 appeared at the time. Around the world, diplomats, government officials, executives, and business leaders increasingly chose the E38 as their daily transportation. Not because it was louder or more extravagant than its rivals, but because it combined prestige with genuine driving satisfaction. It quietly proved that luxury and driver involvement didn't have to be opposites. They could exist in the same automobile. And that idea would influence BMW's flagship philosophy for years to come. The BMW E38 never tried to reinvent the luxury sedan. Instead, it quietly perfected an idea that many manufacturers had forgotten, that the person sitting behind the steering wheel matters just as much as the person sitting in the back. At a time when luxury cars were becoming larger, heavier, and increasingly isolated from the driving experience, BMW refused to abandon its identity. The company believed that a flagship should still feel like a BMW, and the E38 proved that philosophy could succeed even in the most demanding segment of the market. Personally, I think that's the real reason this car has aged so gracefully. It wasn't built around trends that would eventually disappear. It was built around timeless engineering principles, balance, precision, understated design, and mechanical honesty. Even today, the E38 doesn't feel like a machine trying to impress you with technology. It simply feels right. Every control has weight, every movement feels deliberate, and every kilometer reminds you that this car was engineered by people who cared deeply about how it drove, not just how it looked on a brochure. The flagship 750iL represented the ultimate expression of that philosophy. Its naturally aspirated V12 delivered effortless power without unnecessary drama, the chassis inspired confidence at any speed, and the cabin provided luxury without overwhelming the driver with complexity. It wasn't the fastest luxury sedan of its era, nor was it the most technologically extravagant. Yet when everything came together, few competitors offered such a complete driving experience. The E38 also left a lasting influence on BMW itself. Every generation of the 7 Series that followed would inevitably be compared to it. Some became more advanced, others more luxurious, and some introduced groundbreaking technologies, but for countless enthusiasts, the E38 remained the benchmark. It represented the moment when BMW perfectly balanced executive comfort with genuine driver involvement. Perhaps that's why values of well-preserved examples continue to rise while enthusiasts search for original cars with increasing determination. They're not simply buying an old luxury sedan. They're preserving the final chapter of an era before oversized screens, excessive electronics, and digital interfaces transformed the automotive world. The E38 reminds us that true luxury doesn't have to shout. It can speak quietly through engineering excellence, timeless design, and the confidence to let the driving experience take center stage. More than 25 years after production ended, the BMW 750iL E38 is still regarded by many as the finest 7 Series ever built. Not because it was perfect, but because it understood something that many modern luxury cars still struggle to achieve. The greatest flagship isn't the one that makes you want to be driven. It's the one that makes you want to keep driving. If you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more stories about the world's most legendary automobiles. Every subscription helps the channel continue bringing these incredible automotive stories back to life. And now I'd love to hear your opinion. Do you believe the E38 is still the greatest BMW 7 Series ever built, or has another generation earned that title? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next documentary.